Hello, and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper. This might be the last, or maybe the second last time we play this game. Making decent progress through it. Got 2 sets of credits now. One with leaving on the Sidereal Horizon, and one with staying on the Eye after everything's done. Which is what we're playing now. So we get to continue on with these other quests. Still love that the little loading symbol. Okay, let's have a look at our drives. Find a safe path through the cordon for Ish. Into the Greenway. Find a nurturing growbeard for the seed. Ah yes, still haven't found that yet. Give a food, scrap, and water. Do jobs for Bliss. And grow club heads for Rico. Let's go check on Bliss real quick. Okay, so it's 3 days until... 3 days until... they get a new job. And it's 2 days until we get some mushrooms. So really we just need to focus on the refugee stuff at the moment. Which we have, what's that? 1, 2, 8 days. What do we need? We need to come up with a way with Peak's plan. We need scrap, and I'm guessing we need water. No, we need food from somewhere. Is that right? Not that one. The Algae stack. Ah, negotiate access. Okay. It's a 50-50 on that one. Okay, and this should be fine. Okay, what is this? Oh my god. Okay. Algae in the stack grows at a regular rate, but with some careful feed adjustments and water cycling you can improve the yield per cycle. Okay, so that takes 3 to cycle, and then I need to... Jeez, I really need to harvest it, huh? Okay. So we could speed it up, or I can go have a look at this cord and stuff. Got 2 6s to spend. Okay, so that's a success. Intercept comms. Yeah, we can re-roll that one. Oh, that's a 6. Okay. We should spend it on this then. Okay. Okay, we can get one to the blind spot. Look at the canteen. We can deflect suspicion, huh? And convince a crew. The division rife among tug crews gaining support from supply shipment will be a case of picking the right crew and approaching them discreetly. And here's the dock. Slice thrusters. Tugs have a powerful suite of ion thrusters for rapid maneuvering. If you can sneak in and slice some off, you'll have a significant upgrade for the Briar. Okay. That's an engineer one, which if I get scrap will help me out. That's engaged, that's intuit. And interface. Okay. I need some food before I starve. Okay, that's alright. We can end the cycle. Okay, let's see, the algae stack. Could just leave that to grow. We'll leave that to grow, I guess. Now there was engineer ones around here. Okay. Oh, we got a random scrap item. Nice. That's good. That's good, that's good, that's good. Okay, it's Briar upgrade. Okay, so we're getting out of that one. We've got mushrooms tomorrow. I feel like I'm gonna have to drop Bliss. And this fungus is cheaper. And more filling. Here we go. Okay, there's still 2 more days. Gonna end up being flickering either today. Yeah, okay. Damn, that's not good. I do need mushrooms though. You know what, I'll finish off this. Since I can do that with 4 with no problems. Because of engineer. Perks. Pete grins as you pile the ion thruster sets into the motorized trolley in a derelict loading bay. I borrowed this from Ish. I barely know how it works. They seem giddy at the idea of stealing the ship parts from Havenage. Isn't it just the trolley? Pete laughs. I guess so. I just find physical technology a bit intimidating. They help you heave the thruster into position. My speciality was computer systems. Mostly worked on keeping the protocols that ran the refueling platforms from totally decaying due to lack of use. There's a load of platforms in orbit of the moon Hawthorne is on, and Cinder itself. Ish and I ended up having to head out to them regularly to work on them. Sounds like hard work. Are you kidding? Pete smiles. That was the best job at Hawthorne. You get assigned a ship, you get to leave the colony for a bit. So much better than outpost maintenance or canteen work. The only reason we got assigned it was that Ish's mother is the administrator of Hawthorne. Okay, and Ish managed to get my name on the list too. Pete looks for the trolley's ignition. Ish is always saving me. They find the switch and hit it, and the trolley starts whining. Pete looks at the thrusters. Ish will install these. The Briar is her baby, really. Pete looks towards the bay exit. Truth be told, I was surprised she could bring herself to take it from her mother. Losing a ship, that has to hurt a colony. What's her mother like? Tough. You'd have to be to keep control of the services outpost, with no services to provide. Pete looks away. It's a tough place overall, Hawthorne, and Ish's mum, she likes it that way. Pete shuffles the trolley out of the bay into the corridor. They'll manage without the Briar. No choice, Pete smiles. And I have to admit, I'd love to have seen her face when she saw we had gone. Pete pauses. Don't tell Ish that. They walk on quietly, lost in their memories of Hawthorne. Okay, I think I can manage the rest. Pete brushes their hair out of their face. You've done more than enough this cycle. Pete looks over the thrusters. Once these are fitted, the Briar will handle better than ever. You might even get a thank you from Ish, Pete laughs. They head off into the corridor, the trolley whining its high-pitched whine. See you soon. Okay. We are slowly getting scrap. I need algae and I need mushrooms. Do I need mushrooms? Though? Really? Let me think about this. These aren't going anywhere. Now I only need one club head. I think I can wait on a 5. Come in so I can make sure I get at least a rare. But working on everything else. I think I can leave that scrap until later. And I can leave this to grow just so I can work on the harvest. Yeah, let's work on this cordon stuff. What do we have? We have blind spot, crew canteen. Yeah, let's try and get an escort. And let's re-roll those. Nice, okay. little bit of risk. Ooh, damn, that's not good. Okay. Oh, let's grab the mushroom since I said I'd do that on a 5. Yes, thank goodness. Matsutake, Coriol, and Clubheads. What I understand, this quest line is what gives you a replacement to these stabilizers. Alright, Rico. Rico is at her bench running small vials of some liquid through an old chemical analysis machine. The whirring of the spinning drum fills the lab with white noise, and you aren't sure if she notices you approach. Sleeper, it's good to see you. She looks up smiling. This little project of ours has been keeping me awake the past few cycles, but right now, well, I think I have something. What is it? The drum finishes spinning and Rico lifts a vial from it, holding it up to the light. This is something I extracted from those club heads you've been bringing me, and, according to my analysis, it's a substance totally unique on the Greenway. You look at the small amount of liquid in the vial. Any idea what it might be? Rico asks, without looking away from the vial. Stabilizer. Rico nods. You aren't the first sleeper to come through here. Perhaps I should have mentioned that earlier. Rico's tone suddenly drops, changing the atmosphere in the lab immediately. I just thought... She pauses, thinking very carefully on how to continue. I just wanted you to trust us. What do you mean? She sighs. They came through a few cycles ago. We found them wandering in the broken sector near the gap. The members who brought them in had never seen one of you before. They were terrified of this strange person, wandering in from open vacuum. They were quieter than you, and damaged. We did our best to patch them up and welcome them to the commune. I only really spoke to them once, while I was working on their wounds along with a couple of system engineers. She looks nervously at you. I'd never seen a body like that before. I took some readings, some samples. Samples? You have to understand, I was curious. I didn't know what I was looking at. I just took a little of the damaged material, less than a thumbnail. She shifts her weight to her crutch. The next cycle, they were gone. They took a little food and hiked up towards the wild margins, where the Greenway meets the wastes. Someone saw them in the distance, but that was it. They disappeared into the overgrowth. Probably the one I saw. She sits down heavily, the vial in her hands. When I saw you, I wanted things to be different. Wanted to keep you here rather than let you disappear into wherever they ended up. She smiles to herself. Yes, I wanted to understand this place better, but I also wanted to help you. It seems that somehow both my wishes have come true at once. She holds out a hand with the vial. This is for you. You take the stabilizer, the glass cold and smooth in your palm. How? Those clubhead caps made it for you, or at least who or whatever made those club heads. She starts to clear her bench. It was right there, contained in their tissue. Only had to extract it. I imagine you understand how incredible that is. I learned enough from that sleeper to know that your body, your frame is, runs on some exotic technology that has a time limit built in. Somehow the Greenway knows that too. It understands your physiology much better than I ever could. It knows how to treat you. Just like that miraculous antidote that sprung from the mold, so too has this sprung from your presence here. The Greenway is speaking to you. It is welcoming you. She looks up. I know it sounds crazy, but I know it to be true. Here's the evidence. And what I also know is that it no longer speaking to me. Even after decades here, I have never seen this kind of response. Not since the antidote so many cycles ago. She smiles. So I'm going to make you a deal. You bring me as many club heads as you like, I'll extract the stabilizer and give it to you. Freely. But you have to tell me what the Greenway says. You have to speak with it, to dig into it, to find what being is at the center of it. I've travelled as far as I can. I need you to do the rest. Can you do that for me? Yes. Rico sighs with relief and deflates into her chair. Thank you. I'm sorry for the other sleeper. Truly, I am. I'm sorry I couldn't have done more. But I'm so glad I met you. She smiles. You're welcome here anytime. Rico falls silent. She looks smaller now, more fragile, and you realise how old she must be to have seen the collapse firsthand. You idle a little in the lab, in case she asks for anything else, but she remains silent, and so you drift back into the tunnel, thoughts of that other sleeper, and where they ended up weighing on your mind. Yeah, I got another stabilizer. Ooh. Rico's grow beds. Oh hey, I can just put that in here, huh? The only way to understand what Gardner gave you is to grow it. Rico is incredibly excited by the prospect. Who knows what happened there? It's going to take a few cycles, and you only need 2 club heads per. Okay. Okay. I'm having thoughts. Many thoughts. Like, for instance, I can buy scrap in 2 cycles. I can buy 3 scrap in 2 cycles. Yeah. Kester, do you have anything for me? Or you just exist? Okay. Let's fill up. Yum. I should get something tomorrow to do with... what are they called again? The engineer, whatever their name was. Let's stabilize. Got a full belly, and we'll end cycle. Two 6s and 3 1s, eh? Nice, cool, thanks. Hello, Moritz. Sleeper. Moritz is leaning against the corridor wall. It's time. He looks away. Big job just came in. Grand finale. You up for it? Maybe. He shakes his head. Don't give me that. He pushes away from the wall. This has to work, Sleeper. Has to. He looks down. If it doesn't... are we in trouble? Bay, you mean? He shrugs. We were already in trouble before you got here. The work so far hasn't been enough. Look, Bliss has had a rough time of it. I thought that you of all people would understand that. He runs a hand through his hair. Sorry, didn't mean to be. He smiles. Bliss is a good one. She gave me a chance. I owe her. He straightens up. I know you have your own things going on, Sleeper. We all do. But the Bay needs someone. Bliss needs someone. Hell, I need someone to help me keep Bliss from spinning out completely. He scratches the side of his head. Otherwise, there's not much I can do. He shakes his head. And I would hate to not pay back my debts. Moritz stretches. I've got to get back. He nods and walks away. I'm out. See you up there. Okay. You're still not back. I need money. Matsutake cap. You need 3 before you buy it. Can I sell these Griol caps anywhere? Shit. I could sell a ship mind fragment. Depending on whether or not I get them in there. Gotcha. Okay, this is on a 6. Alright, what is it? An exhausting task patching solar sails means maintaining a laser focus for long periods of time. And time is something you don't have. Untangle the sails. Okay, it's got 6 and takes, what is that, like 24? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, so that'd be 24 successes. So even doing that on just thinking 24 successes on 3 on that's 8 successes. That's at least 2 days worth of stuff. We do have 6 days. Maybe we'll come back in 3 to help out. We can start in 3 just to put... just so we can put points into the stuff. Okay, let's get food. Oh, okay, I see how this works. Okay, we just have to check in like once per day to harvest that. So in the meantime, try to get this escort going, I guess. Since harvesting is safe, we should use lower rolls to that. I am good for stabilizer at the moment. What's that? It's 25. And it's 16 chits. 16 chits for scrap when it comes in. Yeah, we might be worth. Has to be something I can do with these grill caps, right? I'm sure there's somewhere I can sell them or something. That's right, you can steal stuff, can't you? Random items. Okay. You want to buy some mushrooms? No, you don't. You don't want to buy mushrooms, you just want to buy scrap. Oh, you can buy stuff here as well. Guess I just never unlocked this bit here. Been a while. The glass shatters on the steel bar beside you, and the taunts don't take long to follow. A haunt, the spacer calls across the low room. What are you doing here? He laughs at his own lame joke. Playing human? Yeah, shout back. You spin around off your stool, scrambling for words. A hand falls on your shoulder, but As you flinch away, it pats reassuringly. You freeze in place. Out, the voice comes from behind you, spat out like a shot. You turn to see bright eyes, dark hair, and a stare that could breach the wall and vent you all into hard vacuum. As you turn back to the spacer, the second glass comes sailing through the air. Duck. You duck, and the glass explodes on the bar behind you, showering you in glittering shards. Through the haze of glass and Griol vapor, you see Tala leap the bar and close the distance to the spacer. The thud as he slams into the wall echoes around the bar like thunder. Now flanked by other figures, quick to their feet, Tala throws the spacer out through the door and stands silhouetted against the rotunda lights. You touch your forehead and it feels wet. Someone helps you to your feet and back onto your stall. Broken glass rattles as it's cleared and fresh measure of Griol is glugged out in front of you. That same hand, warm, heavy, falls on your shoulder once more. He isn't coming back. We don't tolerate that kind of shit here. Tala flops onto the stool beside you. Let's get a look at you. Tala wipes the powdered glass from around the wound and someone places a bottle of alcohol and metal tin with tweezers on the bar. She disinfects them and then turns to you. You're pretty fast on that second glass. She smiles, picking a piece of glass from your forehead, but not fast enough. You don't feel the pain, only a sting of status messages your body delivers concerning dermal damage and exposed structures. You do feel the care though, as Tala's bright eyes search your thick synthetic skin for splinters. Gotcha. Tala works with the skill of someone who has had to pick glass splinters from the skin of a stranger before. She hones in on each bright shard, all the time tapping the tweezer tips in little rhythms that only she can follow. Tala smiles to herself. So you've been on the lie on? Long enough. She laughs. Hey, you don't need to act tough with me. A splinter clinks into the tin. Not everyone is like that, idiot. We don't all hate you. She glances around. Some of the regulars, maybe they fear you, maybe they're just curious. I don't know. But I do know that the Overlook is a safe place. I know what it's like to be new in this place. Trust me, she meets your eye. I'm not trying to convince you of anything or separate you from your chits. I just want to know that if you need somewhere, you can always come here. I know the rations we've got aren't much, and the company is, she leans in, limited. But if you need work, I'll happily put you behind the bar, and if you need shelter, well, we can discuss that. You'll be safe. I usually have Francis on the door, but he's up in the Greenway this cycle, haggling with our supplier. Francis tends to be a bit particular about what we serve, even if the clientele isn't. She places the tweezers in the tin with a clink. That's you, Sleeper. Here. She slides the glass of Griol to you. This'll help. She stops, her hand still on the glass. Wait, does this help? I mean, can you get drunk? No idea. She laughs. Well, keep trying. I'll let you know if I see any difference. She walks back around the bar, gathering the glasses as she does, and before long is retelling how she threw that spacer out to a new group that just wandered in, complete with dramatic actions. She gestures in your direction, and you instinctively look away, back to the worn surface of the bar. You take a sip of the Griol. The earthy fungal tones fill your senses, almost blocking out sight and sound, like diving headfirst into a bog. You may not be able to get drunk, but this connection to something grown, something fermented, something old, feels good. Okay, I don't want to work the bar. I don't think I want to work the bar. Can't sell shipment parts to you, can I? I can. But I'm not going to. Alright, time to think. And thinking is not something I'm great at. So that's available next cycle. And we don't really have the money for it. can harvest. It's a low chance of a negative. It's the same chance of a negative. The less we have to spend on this later, the better, I guess. Okay, that's good. It's actually good. Ba-da-ba-ba. Just thinking. Ooh, okay. That's some decent rolls. Let's go buy some scrap. I want 3 matsutake for 80, don't I? Just thinking if it's worth harvesting. You motherfucker, you really gave me a shit mind. Okay. If I get another shit mind piece, then I'm at least good for money, but everything after that, not so much. Okay, this I only need. Okay, I've got enough stabilizer to hold on for a while. That's fine. Let's get this done. You're leaning up against the metal crates you just loaded up with algae, packed and dried into bright green pucks. Ish hops into one beside you, flexing her aching back. Hope the refugees like algae. She squints at you, as if you just interrupted her train of thought. The look you have become familiar with. It doesn't matter either way, this is what we've got, she sighs, rubbing the back of her neck. In these past cycles, working the algae stack with Ish, you've had a little insight into her mind. She really seems happy to start a conversation, but is always eager to end one. Despite this, you feel like something has grown between you. Something like silent trust. The kind that tends to seed itself in the fertile soil of hard work. Hard but necessary work. Concerned? Ish laughs. You could say that. She turns to face you. I think I'd be stupid not to be concerned about all of this. She's right, of course, though. It's hard to focus your concerns on one thing in particular. Can the refugees survive on the flotilla? What are Havenage doing to help them? If the quarantine is lifted, is the Eye really in danger? Each worry is far too large to even begin to process, to judge, and they mesh with other, more personal worries until you feel the anxiety growing in your chest. You look at Ish and are suddenly eager to speak, to talk about something, anything, rather than just sitting and feeling this growing weight. Why escape XPR? XRP? She pauses, her protective instinct fighting with the trust you've built. You can see her begin to shrug the question off, then she stops, rethinks, sighs. What you need to understand, Sleeper, is that Erland's Eye wasn't the only place where the Solheim collapse happened. Sure, Hawthorne, where we grew up, was an XPR installation, but that didn't screen it from Solheim going under. Actually, Solheim was the only reason XPR were ever here. She pauses, hesitant to get into the whole story, but wanting to offer something. We, she flinches, correcting herself. They are a service corps, you understand? They just set up outposts and surrogate systems like this to offer refueling, logistics and maintenance service to bigger companies with extraction contracts. She gestures to the Eye around her, like Solheim. When Solheim went bust, XPR lost their client, and Hawthorne, well, we lost everything. We became an outpost tasked with just holding on. Keep the refueling platforms running, they said. Keep the outpost stable. Hold on to our claim. She rubs at her head, as if recalling all this was somehow physically painful. Do you know what it's like to spend your entire life in a place with no future? A place that exists only to hold a legal claim to a piece of territory? To shore up breach of contract negotiations between two corporations? It's like living in a she searches for the word, her eyes jumping back and forth. In a grave. She clenches her hands. So if you're looking for the answer to why questions, that's your answer. We, Peak and I, know what it's like to be forgotten, to be locked out. She stares hard at the sides of the stack, the algae whirling against the glass in beautiful patterns, and she doesn't look away. Silence extends, and you realise the conversation is over. Ish seems angry, not at you, but with herself, for even voicing such ideas. After a while, you stand and start to load the crates into the powered cargo trolley that Ish will run back to the Briar. As you do, you try to catch her eye, but she avoids it, serving herself instead with the comforting simplicity of physical work. Ooh, okay. Jeez, okay, 4 cycles, huh? Not that one. Okay. We'll prey on a 4. There we go. Meet Peak leaning in a corner of the canteen in their typically unassuming way. It occurs to you as you approach that Peak must have had some practice at staying invisible. All good? They look up from their slate. That crew you were talking to. They nod to the group leaving the canteen. Will they join it? Will they join us? They'll do it. Nicely done. Peak beckons you to follow as they peel off the wall and head out into the walkway overlooking the cordon. Glad you were here to talk them into it. Never had much of a way with people. Peak smiles and looks away quickly as you walk. Why's that? Well, Peak pauses. Maybe it would be more accurate to say never had much of a way with me. They squint, irritated by their own turn of phrase. What I mean is, people have caused me a lot of trouble. I've had people hate me without knowing a thing about me. They tuck their hair behind an ear. I'm sure you know the feeling. I do. Pete glances at you. Sorry to hear that. It marks you, am I right? I try not to think about it. Peak nods. Don't let me make that any harder. Peak leads you around a corner, heading back to the main cordon access way. I appreciate you coming in and helping us out on this sleeper. On talking to the crew, and, well, you know. Maybe after this insane plan is done, we can talk properly. They keep looking ahead, and you realise they are nervous. I'd like that. Peak smiles, looking down at their feet. Let's settle then, they say to the floor. I better report the news to Ish. We have ourselves a tug escort. Peak stops at an intersection. See you soon, sleeper, and please, take care. And with that, they drift away, their head down, their gait changing as they do, their practiced invisibility shrouding them like a cape. Alright, so blind spot is 6 successes, and we can risk it on those ones, and we also need scrap. Scrap, scrap, scrap. I'm gonna reroll you. Nice, you're a 5. If I need money, then going gambling sounds like the best way. Right? Plus 24 cryo, that will give me enough to buy 2 more gacha on the scrap. Okay. Down to our last chip. Chit. Okay. Well, have enough for a ship mine, and we're halfway on the scrap. Okay, we have money. Can export this. I'm glad it's 150 cryo you get out of that. It's good money. Alright, so let's see. Check our other contract up here. Okay, you still got 2 left before I want to jump on that. Gives me 6. What do I need? Yeah, I think I need it. I can do it, actually. And we're in cycle. We have 1 more day before we're flickering. Yeah, we start flickering next. A rapid burst of movement catches your attention. A drone. Its fin adjusting as it hovers in place, floats in the corridor. Hello? The drone shifts a little, but does not respond. The drone buzzes closer, and a voice gargles out of its speaker, distorted and strange. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Who is this? The drone clicks and whirs, and the recording starts playing again. Sleeper, come to the cordon. We need to speak. Inspect the drone. Move closer and the drone bobs away to a safe distance. But as it does, you see the HA of Havenage emblazoned on its side. Could this be Feng's drone? Satisfied it has delivered its message, the drone rotates and accelerates away as rapidly as it arrived. You stare at it as it disappears from sight, hoping for some insight that escapes you. To the cordon then. Feng? As you enter the passage that leads through the cordon, a flash of movement catches your eye. The drone stops to make sure you've seen it and then flits into a side passage, leading to a set of narrow stairs. You climb through the dark shaft, the drone stopping at each landing to check you are following. Despite its lack of expression, there's something overbearing about the way the drone waits, impatiently realigning its fins in sequence. After a long climb, you come out onto an observation platform. Cordon and the vast ramshackle refugee ships beyond fill your vision. The scale seems impossible, and immediately you feel small and naive for even thinking you could affect the situation. Something shifts nearby. The drone again? Helen. Okay. A woman is stood at the window. At the edge of your vision, you aren't surprised you didn't notice her. She too seems impossibly small in the shadows of the flotilla. The drone buzzes by her shoulder, and she turns. Sleeper, sorry for all the cloak and dagger nonsense, she nods at the drone. But I have never regretted being cautious. She smiles a tight smile and holds out her hand. I'm Helen. Shake her hand. A tight smile holds, but the drone keeps its single eye fixed on you. The effect is a little unnerving. Look, she glances around the empty observation deck as if checking for potential eavesdroppers. Let's be straight with each other. I know about your plans, and she cuts in before you can respond. I understand your motives. You look at her in her overalls, the yellow markers, the HA sigil. You've been on the Eye long enough to recognise a Havenage member when you see them. You are Havenage. Yes, I mean, I expect that it's obvious. The tight smile again. I hope you won't hold that against me. She glances around a little nervously again, and moves a little closer. This entire situation, I am not here to defend it. She glances back at the flotilla. No one is happy about this. Stay silent. She pauses. Sleeper, tell me, what does Havenage mean to you? A work in progress. She smiles. Fear, I think. Havenage is used to being criticised. In some ways we invite it. Our members are free to bring up grievances at any meeting. We propose new structures and approaches. She shifts her weight impatiently. As a councillor, it is my duty to listen to them. That is why I was elected by the members. We are an imperfect system, yes, and each councillor, each member, each representative can be flawed, and worse. She looks down. But we keep this place running. That is what we do. And the flotilla? She turns and looks out at the clump of fractured ships. The flotilla is a problem. Can the Eye take in thousands of refugees safely? I don't know. This place is a ruin, Sleeper. What do you think of the What do you think the council discusses? The price of Griol? We make plans to keep this place spinning, to keep life support working, to ensure... Ellen's slate chirps and a grim look passes across her face as she sees the notification. She looks tired, the screen light casting her rigid expression in a pale glow. Sleeper, I didn't bring you here to explain how Havenage works. I came to talk about your plan to cross the cordon, breach the quarantine, and supply the flotilla. She looks directly at you. How do you know? She glances at the drone. I make it my job to know what happens here. I know you think you are helping the flotilla, but you cannot do this. Right now, halfway across the ring, one of a countless series of debates are being held. These debates are to evaluate the potential harm that could be caused if the refugees of the flotilla are left to enter the station. These debates are at a standstill. Helen walks to the window. Too many in Havenage Council think of the flotilla as a threat. After recent events, a hardline group has emerged. Protective, selfish. They seek only to benefit the members. In their mind, the flotilla is a danger to life on the Eye. If you are caught crossing the cordon and breaching the quarantine, it will only strengthen the hardline councillor's case. Criminals who stole the ship from XPR, undermining the security of the station? She shakes her head. It's exactly what they want. So what? She looks at you coldly. So what? Sleeper, I'm starting to worry if you know anything about what you're doing here. She sighs deeply. In those XPR spaces you are running with, Sleeper, do you know anything about them? More than I know about you. She looks at you pleadingly. Let's change that, Sleeper. Why do you think the refugee flotilla came here now? Something is happening in the system. Something is pushing people out of the colonies and outposts that have survived since Solheim collapsed. We need to be ready for whatever is coming. Protect the Eye. I know the Eye means something to you. I know there's a reason you're still here. Help me protect it. Ellen fixes you with a strong look. Persuade those spaces that this is the wrong move, that they will get caught and the flotilla will be locked down, that Havenage will be delivered into those with the worst instincts. Forget this suicidal supply run with people you barely know. Help me fight for the Eye. Why don't you stop them? If I expose the plan, it's the same as if it goes ahead and they are caught. Every way I look at it, the Eye looks compromised. The quarantine justified. The hardliners get their scapegoat. Don't offer up the excuse the hardlines need to lock the flotilla out altogether, to persuade the members they are the safest pair of hands. She looks at you imploringly. Please. Look back at her and the flotilla behind and sense a desperation in her plea. Notification breaks the silence. Shit. She rapidly scrolls through pages of data. Sleeper, I need to go. She looks torn. Think about this, please. Talk to the spacers. Help them see reason. And she quickly leaves the observation deck before you have time to respond. You stay for a moment, watching the lights of the tugs in the flotilla, and wonder what it feels like to be on one of those ships, so close to your destination and yet so far from it. And then you think of the Havenage Council chamber, right across the eye, where the right of these people to find safety is being debated. You shiver, and then you too are gone, back into the stairwell in the dark hold below. I need scrap. I do. I really need scrap. That's blind spot, isn't it? I feel like I should focus on scrap or the blind spot. Not both. Actually, I'm going to use... Yeah, I'm going to use a stabilizer this cycle, so even if my condition rapidly deteriorates, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Okay, one scrap. Okay, energy down, and condition down. Okay, and we have a 1. Two ones, huh? What are the chances on that? Fucking awful. Okay, we can come back for that then. The hell am I going to do with 1? Forage for fungus, collect spores. There's a Matsutake on there. I do need food. I am starving slowly. Actually quite quickly, but honestly. Hey buddy. Some fungus please. Not safe, this, is it? This is safe. But it also can't go any more negative, right? I bet on a 50-50 on this. Now let's see if it completely undoes my progress. Yeah. No. Okay. Good job. Okay. need to rest. I also need to repair. Sleeper, Peak is waiting for you when you leave, but they look different. Pale, drawn out. You need to come up to the Briar now. They don't meet your eye. What happened? Not here, Peak hisses. Come to the ship. We'll be waiting. Peak walks away. Don't take long. And with that, they disappear around the corner, leaving you anxious and confused. Peak. Okay. As you walk into the Climbing Briar's cavernous bay, now filled with crates and containers, Ish is waiting for you. In front of her, sliced open, with its inside scattered across the top of heavy-duty crate, is an object you recognize. Helen's drone. You freeze. Come in, quick. Peak nudges you into the bay, looking behind you before sealing the entryway. We have to start being careful. You move closer to the container, your eyes on the drone splayed out in pieces. Some parts of it hooked up to a slate that Peak picks up and begins tapping away at. Ish looks up from the dissection. We caught it buzzing around nearby, heading for that ship. She leans over and taps the HA sigil on one of the removed pieces of plating. It's an Havenage spy. We think we got it before it sent data back, but we can't be sure. Peak looks at you nervously. Ish cuts in. Have you noticed anyone watching you? Any drones like this? Anyone following you up to the Briar? I've seen this drone. Ish follows you. Frowns. Following you? I met its owner. I'm being honest with these guys. Ish pauses for a while, Peak looking between the two of you. Explain, Sleeper. Ish says silently. Tell them about Helen. You explain that you met with Helen at the cordon, and that you you tell Ish and Peak about what she told you, that the Havenage Council are debating lifting the quarantine, but they are blocked by the hardliners. Speak faster and faster, but before you can finish, Ish walks away in anger, then comes back, her eyes burning. What is this, Sleeper? Have you understood nothing from what we've told you? She paces in front of you. Havenage are not your friends, they are administrators, which means they are interested in their own power, their own survival, their own causes. They divide people as easily as sorting livestock. The greater good of their work demands it. The wider project of the station, the colony, the nation. Her eyes are wide as she speaks, her anger barely contained. Didn't have a choice? Didn't have a choice. Peak cuts in. Listen to them, please, Ish. They are with us. Peak glances between you two. What was the Sleeper supposed to do? They were ambushed by this Helen. I only listened. Let me tell you something, Sleeper, Ish says, her rage hardening into pain. When people become administrators, they give up something. Some part of being human, being an equal among others, goes away. They start talking about the greater good, the systems, the ways in which their hands are tied or their processes compromised. My mother was the administrator of Hawthorne, and I have seen what it did to her, that noble higher calling. It is toxic. People should never have the chance to decide the fate of others, and those that do so at the cost of their humanity. Peak tries to cut in, but Ish holds up a hand. Don't start, Peak. Don't ask me to be reasonable or calm down. Thousands of people are desperate out there. Being reasonable will only prolong their suffering. You're right. Ish doesn't move for a moment, and then she lifts a hand to rub her temples. She goes to say something, then stops. She walks back into the bay and starts checking the straps on the crates. I'll make the run, she yanks on the strap. No more distractions. Sleeper, Peak looks torn. You have to understand, this is personal for Ish. I know. Peak looks away, then at Ish. I don't know, Sleeper. I just don't know what to do. You glance around the bay of the Briar. The walls seem closer every second. This whole thing is closing in on you, and the question is, Where do you want to be when it all collapses? You look at Peak. What do you think, Sleeper? Peak rubs their forehead. Shall we do this thing or not? Yes. Peak nods. Okay then. They squeeze your shoulder. Onward. They slip away to help Ish, leaving you alone to replay the conversation in your head. A certain kind of grim determination settling in the room. Last chance to prepare. Ooh, jeez. Alright then. Okay. I need one more scrap. One more. Would happily buy it. But I'm pretty sure they're sold out and these guys aren't in port. I don't think it's worth risking doing engineering work to try and get a scrap on a random. Which means the wastes. I only need one. Come on. Fucking god damn it. Okay. Have a look at this then. Okay, we need 6 successes on this. I'm gonna have to not do that one. That's the only way I can think of actually getting on with this. Because I'm also out of stabilizer now. There we go. Look over the pile of scrap components lying in the briar. Look around, the bay is empty. Ish and Peak either elsewhere on the station or on the bridge of a couple of levels up. You begin sorting through the pile, separating out useful components and boxing them by use. You don't recognize everything you find, but before long you get into the rhythm of sorting. As you do, your mind starts to drift, your attention being drawn to the dark corners of the bay. The briar is in surprisingly good condition, considering that Hawthorne and XPR must have been operating it for decades by now. The marks of care are everywhere, from the delicate patch jobs, polished to meld into the original finish, or the carefully bound wiring running through the custom trunking. Ish loves this ship, that much is clear. Something catches your eye in one of the dark corners, a matte black stack of crates you hadn't spotted before. They are sleek and compact, tucked away behind some of the bigger, more worn containers. Let's investigate. Put the components away and go over to the sleek crates. You run your hands along their textured surfaces, but there is little hint of what lies inside the opaque metallic casing. Then you see it, a yellow symbol, embossed into the far side of the crate. A universal signal used by spaces, corporations, and manufacturers alike. One you have seen throughout your time as a sleeper. Its meaning is all too familiar. Explosive contents. You hear a hiss, and Ish comes up through the bay's lock. She barely registers your presence, nodding as she passes. Sleeper? She busies herself with some task at the back of the bay. Now let's ask about it. Ish doesn't turn around from whatever she is busy with. Just more supplies, Sleeper, like everything else here. Can't think of anything else to ask, but sense that the atmosphere is now somewhat shifted. You quickly finish up the sorting and slip out, waving goodbye to her back as you do. Ooh, okay. That's an upgrade point. Okay, I need to harvest and hopefully get some decent mushrooms. Because I need stabilizer. Don't give me Matsutake, you bastard. Oh, fucking damn it. What is that? That's into it. Okay, grab into it. And spend a 4 on this. Please give me something I can use. I hate you. I hate you so much. Like, unironically. I'm genuinely upset. Alright. Fill up on food. Okay. Send to the hub. Have to start working on this. Have no choice. There we go. There's 3. Just need a bunch more, essentially. We'll sleep in the commune, I guess. That's fine. And we're now flickering. Great. Fucking fantastic. Yeah, okay, I can't do anything about that. Reroll that. Yeah, it's a lot better. How many spores do I need to start? 3. It's minimum 2. You give me 1 or 2 on this, I don't care. There we go, 3. Start the timer. Alright, 4 days and we get another chance to get mushrooms that can actually heal us up. Meanwhile, I get to work on this. Sell Matsutake for something, I guess. Yeah, it's fine. Wouldn't mind even just buying scrap or something. Alright, end. She's gone, Sleeper. Peek is breathless and shaking. She started the run without this. Ish? Peek looks confused. Who else? Let's go. If we head to the cordon now, Peek starts back up the corridor. They turn back. She has to make it, Sleeper. She has to. A shiver runs down your spine. Ish, I hope you know what you're doing. Alright, let's check in on this quest then and see what happens. Thank you, Windows. The cordon. You arrive, frantic and anxious. At the cordon, Peak is nowhere to be seen. Then you hear footsteps hammering on the metal stairway. Helen's drone led you up through before, the one that leads to the observation deck. You leap up the stairs, 2 at a time, and make it to the top, momentarily blinded by the light pouring into the observation deck. Sleeper, Peak emerges from the light. I know she is trying to protect me, but it's okay, she chose. And what about my choice, Sleeper? I'm not a child anymore, I can fight for myself. They turn away. There she is. Peak rushes to the wide window, leaning forward to catch a glimpse of the Climbing Briar's blue XPR library against the black of the void. You spot the Climbing Briar, a glint of blue and white, and beside it the red glare of a tug's lights. The tug crew went with her, Peak smiles. I knew they would keep their word. That'll help. Peak doesn't seem to hear you, but the idea of the crew backing Ish up makes you smile. Maybe this thing will work. You watch as the Briar and its tug escort arc downwards towards the edge of the cordon, demarcated by the red lights of the perimeter system. So far so good. The Briar will just look like another refugee ship being escorted into the cordon, at least at a glance. Peak grips the rail as Ish reaches the edge of the cordon. That invisible net of sensors lay between ships and drones. Can she pass through? The response is immediate. The moment the Briar hits the net of sensors, the entire cordon reacts. Sequences of blinking lights cascade out from the ship's position. The angry red of the cordon multiplied many times over. Shit! Peak presses a hand against the window. Go, Ish, go! As if responding to Peak, the Briar goes into a steep dive, plunging through the skin of the cordon into the mess of ships beneath. You move closer to the window without thinking, unable to take your eyes off the rapidly descending ship. Spinning between the hulls of the flotilla, a group of tugs now tracing its path in pursuit. She's going to have to be fast. Peak looks concerned as the Briar searches for a place to dock. You glance around for pursuing tugs, but for the moment they seem to be elsewhere. Ish pulls the ship in, aiming to dock with the largest of the flotilla's ships, a vast converted tanker, half of its protective plates removed. You think about the effort it must have taken to get that thing all the way here from the inner system. You watch the Briar, unable to get any sense of progress from its placid exterior. They'll be offloading everything now, Peak says, both assuring you and themselves that everything is going to plan. And you think of all the supplies loaded onto the Briar, and how long the process of unloading them might take. The bay was packed, rammed with everything you could offer, and the thought of bringing all that to the flotilla makes you smile. You think of the reaction of the refugees, of the welcome they'll give Ish as the bearer of such gifts. You even imagine a smile from Ish as she is showered with thanks. You focus on that as you watch the Briar, and continue the nervous wait for it to finish unloading. It's breaking off, Peak points at the Briar, and you see the puff of air and dust that accompanies an emergency depressurization. Ish must have ended things early, but why? Then you see them, the tugs closing in on the Briar. Havenage must have spotted the ship. You and Peak are up against the window again, willing for the Briar a safe path out of the flotilla. The Briar struggles to navigate the crowded flotilla, and the tugs seem to be closing on her. Both you and Peak are silent, every bit of energy you have being sent to Ish and the pilot of the Briar. She cuts through the crowded flotilla, then suddenly disappears. Did the ship hit something? Was it disabled? Both you and Peak are searching the black for a sign. Where has she gone? Where are you, Ish? Peak is frantic now, leaning against the window, but the Briar is nowhere to be seen. You both search the flotilla for that streak of blue, and see nothing. Time passes, Peak paces the observation deck. Hope fades. They're silent. They caught her, Peak manages to get the words out. She delivered the supplies, but they caught her. They slam a hand against the glass. We can get her back. This was stupid, Sleeper. Peak looks back at you with their eyes wet. A stupid plan. We had a ship and our freedom. Now what do we have? Peak slams a hand on the glass in frustration, making you jump. I won't be trapped again. I won't. They turn and rush out of the observation deck before you can say anything, leaving you alone with the cold and the light. Damn. Fucking really? God damn, you really had to do all 6, huh? What a load of shit. Oh, fuck. I think I'm fucked on this as well. I don't care if that minuses energy. Yeah, well, okay. I guess I just fucked up every quest then. Because it didn't have enough time for it. I need some food. Because I got some shitty fucking mushrooms on my gutcha. Moritz is there when you leave, waiting. Starwood Vector missed their window. He looks up, waiting for your response. That job was impossible. I guess so. Look, Sleeper, it's not all bad news. He manages to pull a handful of chits from his pocket. He managed to sell the produce last cycle. Bliss wanted to make sure you got your cut. He hands over the chits. It's not going to be enough to get another contract, but we can downsize. Give up the mooring and just do competent repairs in the bay. Bliss told me to tell you that you can come up and help if you ever feel like it. It'll pay us by the shift, so he tails off. You okay? He looks at his feet. She saved me, you know. That. And I just wanted to repay that. Meet your eye. Maybe there's still time for that. Moritz glances around, eager to leave. So yeah, I'll see you up there sometime, if you can. He rubs the back of his head. But no sweat if you can't make it. Don't need to worry about us anymore if you don't want to. With that, Moritz stalks away into the dark. It isn't the way you wanted this to end. Maybe you tell yourself it isn't over. Maybe there will be another chance at making this work. But something tells you deep down that Bliss has already used up all of the chances. The drive hasn't failed, at least. One last job. There's another job coming in. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's great and all. I have a bunch of money and nothing to buy. I actually hate this. Hey, you're in here. Right, you're still in here, essentially. For fuck's sake. Shitty ass mushroom gotcha. Oh, you're done next, and Ellen left a message with one of her drones for you, claiming to meet up here once she is done cleaning up the mess. Okay. Oh, we'll see how that goes then. There's not a whole lot to do here other than I guess I could work on the bar essentially, but that's really about it. I could just buy food because I'm absolutely loaded with money. Hey, feed me. There's the Havenage offices. Is there actually anything worth hacking around here anymore? I guess if I really wanted to sell data for money, but that's really about it. Alright, let's end cycle. Go to the Greenway. Still can't get any mushrooms. Rico, what's up? Rico has something in her hands when you enter the lab. Looks like a knotted twist of woody stems, a ring about the circumference of a human head, consisting of a single stalk at one side and a branched woven network at the other. As you approach, she holds it up, and in the lights of the lab, it looks like a crown. Rico finishes your thoughts. She smiles and shakes her head in disbelief. Is that what grew? It is. I came to the plant this morning, and this loop was all that was there. She points to a lump on the edge of the ring. The seed grew right back into itself, twisted up out of the soil. That being you encountered, in the cloud, as you call it, was it wearing one of these? She eyes you suspiciously, still unsure if she is somehow embroiled in an overlong prank. No. She smiles. I suppose that would be too easy. She smiles to herself. A root crown. She places the object on the bench and shuffles to her analysis terminal. Her face lit by its amber light in the dim corner of the lab. Well, it isn't exactly a plant anyway. Not from what I can tell. She gives it a serious look. No leaves, no chloroplast, just a series of filaments encased in cellulose walls. Filaments? See, that's why I like you, Sleeper. You're so good at spotting the unusual details. She beckons you over. Look at this. You see a cross-section scan of the crown, its layers and plant-like structure on in full view, until you reach the centre. There, instead of xylem and phloem for transporting nutrients, something branched and woven glints. Are those wires? She laughs. I'm not sure whether to say yes or no here. These are not wires like those in an electrical system, no. But they are filaments of a conductive material, so yes? She leans closer to the screen. But you see those branches? They remind me of dendrites, of neurons. She rubs her eyes, which is frankly ridiculous. Look back at the crown on the table as Rico fusses over the scans, and you suddenly realize what it reminds you of. You remember signing the forms, the walk to the sleeper tanks, the cold metal floor. Then you remember the crown they fitted you with, the branching structure of wires and pads. No, not a crown, they call it an interface. The tool of your emulation, your transference from neurons to electrons. An interface. That is your gift from the gardener. You turn back to Rico. It's an interface. Rico looks at you, puzzled. Something clicks in her mind. perhaps something she heard from the sleeper she helped all those cycles ago. She starts talking, partly to you, partly to herself. If the club heads were made for you, then this too could be made for you, for your frame. She shuffles over quickly to the interface, a word that is stuck to the strange branched object quickly in your mind. You're right, that entity, if it is the entity I've been looking for, she shuffles quickly to the crown. They are the entity which is controlling the Greenway, which has been maintaining it, supporting it, and has been guiding it all these decades. She stops to catch her breath. They want to talk with you. Rico leads you to a seat. I will be here, Sleeper. If something happens, if you wish me to remove the crown, the interface, just squeeze. She grips your hand tightly. You meet her eyes, clouded with age, but bright with the thrill of new discoveries. Then she places the interface on your head, and everything blinks out. Back into the river, back into the dark flow, but something is different now. You are no longer pushed, no longer blocked and buffeted by the storm. Instead, it flows around you. You move and it parts, letting you pass. Something else resists, but it gives easily enough. You look back and see your body. You have left it behind. Somewhere, Rico's voice is talking to you, asking you questions. It is excited, eager, desperate to know what lies on the other side, what the entity has to say to you. You realize how long she has waited for this moment, for the moment of meeting between the inhabitants of the Greenway and its protector, and yet she is still on the outside. You shake off the sadness, you'll be her eyes. Then you see the figure, Gardner, out in the storm, planting. It takes you less than a moment to reach them. You have never felt so free. This is how the Navigator must have felt, released from their prison. This, you think, is what it feels like to be in the place you were built to inhabit. Gardner does not turn at your approach. They go on planting, but their voice whispers in the waters, like sharply rising current. You grew the gift. Their speech hisses around you. Good. I am glad. I wanted to meet you. Then we are the same. Both eager shoots seeking one another. How does it feel to be free of your seed? They stoop to plant again. My seed? That in which you were contained, in which you will grow. There was some disagreement, continues Gardner, as if you were picking up on a long-held conversation with the others. They felt you were a danger, but they are always cautious, especially the fungi. They like old loam, known knowns, wide and stable networks. The fungi were cautious? Mostly, yes, although there are many among their number who favour short growth cycles, thick nutrient veins, and sudden shifts. He gestures out into the storm, and though you cannot see them, you feel presences all around, sensing this audience with great interest. After all, they understood that it was I who made them their crowns, and without them they would not have joined the chorus. So they see that it is only fair that you get your chance to join too. Join? Yes, become part of this. Gardner stoops again. We are millions, and we grow. I hope you understand. I am unused to speaking to your kind. It has been many cycles since my last conversation. I think it was with Chief Executive Trellick himself. You look around and you see it. Everything growing. Every growing thing, every non-human being in the Greenway is here. They are networked, connected, branched and linked by this strange being, this artifact of the old station. Impossible dream of a senile farm administration AI. A living network. You could dissolve here, you realize. Free of that decaying body, you wouldn't need to be a person. Why would you, among all these other minds? You turn away from the gardener for a moment, and look back at your body. A tiny hairline thread connects you to it. You hear Rico's voice again, still asking, checking in. Are you okay, Sleeper? What are they saying, Sleeper? Are you still there, sleeper? Something in you sighs a long sigh. A sigh that speaks of exhaustion beyond tiredness. An exhaustion rooted deep inside you. It stems from the effort of answering questions, of answering problems, of getting up and breathing each cycle. Something else resists the sigh. A yearning, a sense of direction, a sense of distance. A desire to squeeze that hand that holds you for its warmth, its blood, its complexity. Make a gesture that says, I'm still here, I'm still alive, I'm with you. Two ideas spin within you, making you nauseous. You break that thread, you'll be free. Free to dissolve here, to grow strange and beautiful among a million others. If you follow it, if you squeeze Rico's hand, you'll wake up back in that dying body with all the pain and warmth that entails. Now is the moment to choose. Well, this feels like an ending. Let's break the thread. You reach down and pinch the thread. The finality of this moment descends on you. Break it. You pluck the thread like a string. It snaps. Nothing changes. You stand at a point of stillness. No, you don't stand. You have no legs, no body. You are a point of stillness. A point in the flow. Your mind fizzes. 1,000 new shoots break through the soil. They entwine with you, embrace you. Some part of you decays while something else feeds from that decay. Spores of your new thoughts float away in the shifting clouds and settle in new soil. Then you see Gardner out there, still planting, and they stop, like an old man resting in the fields, and they turn to face you. And you join the chorus. All together you sing the song of growing things. Grow vast and strange. That's an interesting ending, I guess. But let's go back and choose not that ending. Oh, it's put me the day before. Okay. Seed, Uncle the Cautious, join. Let's not click too quickly now. Follow the thread. Your eyes track the thread across the whirling dark back to your body. This choice, you realize, will not be presented again. Follow it. You don't look back at the gardener. You don't dare risk it. Instead, you follow the thread, delicately, carefully, like a diver following their lifeline back to the surface. The river whirls around you, but it doesn't pull, it isn't jealous, neither does it understand. It is, after all, just a river. It isn't a person, a flesh and blood person, with wants, with desires, with the capacity for love and hate. It doesn't understand you, and you don't understand it. So you don't focus on it, you don't think about it. On what feels like such a long journey back through the dark, you set your mind on eyes instead, on hands, things you can focus on, hold on to. And then, after an age of crossing, you are there, settled back into the chair, into a body in the chair, and the overwhelming sensations that come with being a living thing with a rich and detailed sensorium. For a moment you feel like you've made a terrible mistake. Who would choose this weight, this anxiety, this deep well at the center of existence? But then you feel it. Rico's hand, gripped hard around yours, trembling a little, sweating a little. Rico's hand with its brittle bones and crumpled skin. Rico's hand. And in that moment, you understand why you made this choice. And then you squeeze Rico's hand, and you wake up. Sleeper? Rico's voice comes wavering through the dark. Are you still with me? You sat up, the lab a bright green glare that fades as you gather yourself. I'm here. Rico smiles. Good. She squeezes your hand. I thought you had left me for a moment. What? She pauses. Who? She smiles. Tell me about it. Tell me everything. Tell her the truth. You tell Rico everything. You tell her about the gardener, that strange farm administrator AI that has grown to be so much more, about the chorus, that impossible configuration of networked plants, and finally, about the choice the gardener offered you. She listens attentively, but her responses are hard to read, and you wonder if she might have made a different decision had she been in your place. Thank you, Sleeper, for telling me. I know it isn't easy to say such things. People so often do not wish to hear strange truths. She looks away. And thank you for returning to me, though I know you had your own reasons. She squeezes your hand reassuringly. Something passes between you then, a kind of shared sadness for the impossible choice, the choice to escape your body, or to stay and suffer in it. Your smile is warm and generous, and whatever the wisdom of your choice, you are glad to feel welcome in this moment, this place. Then suddenly she stands and walks a little away, as if trying to escape an unpleasant thought. You worry that she knows all too well what it takes to make a choice like you did. Rico sighs. So Sleeper, do you plan to stay in the commune with us? I plan to. I'm glad to hear it. Rico crosses back over to you and takes one of your hands in both of hers. Hypha needs new blood, if it wants to survive, and you're a good friend. The feeling's mutual, Rico. Well, don't let me keep you. Rico waves you away and limps back to her terminal. As she does, you notice the crown in her hand, and she places it on the bench with great care. You can't help but feel a little curious about what she intends to do with it. Then you are out, breathing the air of the Greenway, fresh as a spring morning. The dappled light makes a patchwork of the greening landscape, and you walk into it, sensing the movements of the gardener's chorus all around. You're glad to be here in this strange and beautiful place a little longer. Where? Sweet. Yeah, we've only got one upgrade point. Still waiting for mushrooms to come back so I can heal up. And Helen. I'm sorry, Sleeper. Helen comes towards you along the walkway, but your friend must have known there was a chance this would happen. She seems unsure of how to greet you and looks nervously around. She is being held along with her ship. Release her. How many times do I have to tell you I don't control Havenage? Helen pinches the bridge of her nose. Cordon Security has her for now, and she and her ship will be held in the quarantine until it is lifted. As for the quarantine, she glances at her slate. We're working on it, but the council is unlikely to budge now. Not after this. She runs a hand through her hair. This is the last thing I needed. Helen meets your eye. She managed to smuggle some supplies through, but we couldn't trace them. The refugees have already hidden them by the time we arrived. Any more good news? Well, the flotilla got its supplies. Your friend has to be commended for that. Helen shoots you a glance, even if her stunt has only worsened the crisis. The reports we are getting from the refugees is that things are stable there. They seem to be well organised. So well organised, in fact, that they may have stopped speaking to us. She looks nervously around. I'm worried, Sleeper, about what is happening in there, but after recent events, cordon security are keeping the place locked down tighter than ever. No one can get in. Meanwhile, the hardline councillors are preaching in the chamber as we speak. It's a deadlock, and I don't know when it will loosen its grip. Helen walks a little way and turns back. I wish I had better news, Sleeper, but we knew this was coming. What can be done? It's a waiting game now. I'll do my best to make my voice heard in the debates, to persuade members, and we will see what can be done. You still don't know why the flotilla came here, why they abandoned settlements and outposts throughout the systems to flee to this ruined station. What little we heard from them concerned computer and life support systems collapsing in waves, machinery in flux. Helen sucks in her breath. This isn't over. You think of people on the flotilla. Helen is right. People don't abandon their homes for nothing. What wave is rushing through the system, and when will it reach the eye? Helen interrupts your thoughts. I have to go. The debates will restart soon, and I should be there. She waits for a moment, and it is unclear if she is trying to think of something to say or just waiting for you to speak. But the silence keeps you both quiet, and she walks off down the corridor, a nod, the only farewell she offers. You hope that speaking to her might ease the knot of worry in your chest, but it remains there, reminding you of Ish, of the refugees, and of the wait ahead. What is done, no matter how many times you turn it over in your head. You get the feeling you will be needed soon, and for that you must save your strength. What was it that Feng told you, Erlin said? The eye opens for us all? Not this time, not now. The eye remains closed to those that need it. A shudder runs through you. Something is coming. You can feel it. This isn't over. Hey. Okay, episode Flux complete. It did complete, at least. Alright. I have so much money that I don't really know what to do with it. Hello. You're waiting for a job. Okay, cool. Overlook bar. Let's just hang out here then. Hey, we got energy off that. Alright, let's talk to Tala. Griel slides from the bottle into the lumpy recycled glass, a pale grassy yellow under the overlook's warm lights. The spacer nods and takes the drink, bringing it up to their face in both hands like an offering bowl. This is the good stuff. The stuff Tala says aged in wood casks, stored in some closed-off part of the old station, among corroded wires and softly looping systems. Though sometimes it's hard to tell if Tala is joking. Either way, you like pouring this stuff. It gets on your fingers, and if you rub them together you can smell the mossy drink, cut through with aniseed, mushrooms, wood, as the alcohol evaporates. You like those who order it too. The aged Griol is kept beneath the bar, open to order only by those who know it's there, like the quiet spacers sitting at the bar right now. Watch the spacer. They are far away enough that you can friendly watch them as you close the bottle and tuck it beneath the bar. You call them a spacer because they bear the hallmarks, pale, vac-suited, bird-boned, and hunched beneath the weight of the station's spinning gravity. But the closer you look, the less you see a type. Pale eyes, almost grey, but kind. delicate fingers that lightly drum the bar as if it was an instrument, a shock of black hair almost covering a forehead scar. Scars are something you have learned to value. They are what marks out your body from the hundreds, maybe thousands, who knows, of similar models that rolled out of S&R's biolabs. You find yourself rubbing one of your forearm, a rough little spit, something that on the good days you might think of as a mark of defiance. Suddenly you hear heavy clunking at the door. It creaks open and a huge cylindrical metal tank tumbles through, slamming into the floor. Shit, Tala breezes in from behind it, a whirl of hair and bright eyes. Shit, shit, shit. Tala? Sleeper. She ducks behind the bar and comes over. Can you help me with this? You look at the huge metal tank suspiciously. I'm coming. You come round the bar and get to one side of the tank. Okay, says Tala, on my count. 1, 2, 3. Both heave the tank up to standing somehow. You hold it in place, struggling to keep it steady. Where's this going? In the back, comes the voice from behind the tank. Somehow you manage to lug the huge thing into the back room, where you place it in one corner, dwarfing the rest of the contents in the cramped space. As you do, you hear a crunch. You stand back and look at the expired rations oozing out from under the tank. Oh shit. Tala looks at you apologetically. I know you liked those. Good riddance. Tala smiles. Oh good. I thought maybe liking expired rations was some kind of sleeper thing. You push the crushed rations to one side, and that's the end of that. Tala looks exhausted and rubs his shoulders. Francis, I swear to... Francis? Francis, I mentioned him already. My guy on the door. Deals with suppliers. Tall. She sighs. He was supposed to be back from internet up on Greenway by now, back with our Griol. She leans against the tank. It seems like he's gone, like he's got lost again, or joined the Haifa commune. We need that Griol. There's 4 other bars near here, and the spaces sure as hell don't come to the Overlook for the ambiance. She looks through the open door to check if anyone can hear her. She knocks on the hollow tank. So I'm taking matters into my own hands. She smiles. Welcome, Sleeper, to the Overlook Distillery. You look around the dank black back room. Need some work. She picks at the paint flaking from the metal walls. Well, I might need some help though. She shrugs. You up for it? She knocks on the tank again. Could be fun. Happy to help. Okay. She grabs you by the shoulders. I'm excited. She turns around and looks at the tank. I reckon we chop this thing in half. One half for fermentation and the other we turn into a still. We also need to gather the ingredients. She turns back and looks at you. You look more like a chopper than a gatherer. She smiles. But how about you build the still and tub while I work on the rest? Oh wait, Sleeper, I have an idea. Tala is grinning now and making you nervous. To make up for the rations, how about we put a kitchen in here too? Will it fit? We'll make this work. She turns back to the tank. This is going to be great, she says to herself. You look at the dented tank in the bare room. At least she has visit. Tala nudges you out of the back room and closes the door. As you go back to the bar, you hear the banging and thumping begin. The Spacer finishes up their drink and nods in your direction as they leave. Can't quite tell if it's a gesture of sympathy or good luck. So much for a quiet shift. Hey, new drive. What do we need? Build the still. Okay. I really got nothing out of that, huh? Yeah. Alright. You're not back yet. I need more food again. You should be ready next. In cycle. Okay, come on. Give me the mushrooms that are actually handy. Okay, we got one. Okay, we got two. Thank fuck. Got one stabilizer. Refresh. And ideally give me one more. Okay, we got one more from that as well. Which is good. Good, good, good. Now you can have more spores. Now we cross, get some good old food. And rest and repair. I feel like I accidentally skipped like end game stuff before going through the mid game. Alright, this is still taking a while. Still got one more cycle before anything happens. And yes, we get some spores from here as well. There we go. That can be for our next cycle of spores. We can hold on to the Matsutake, we can just sell them whenever we need. And we'll buy scrap when this comes in tomorrow or next cycle. Hey, engineer. Ooh, engineer. There's a chance for scrap. Not that it ever procs for me. Oh, random scrap item. Mwah, I love it. Yeah. Cool. Take the chance. Technically a 3. Nice. What data do I actually have? I am just sitting on one Havenage, aren't I? Ooh, okay. It hits you like a wave, a white-edged breaker roaring inland with the force of an entire ocean. The impact is screaming brightness, blanking out everything. Behind it is silence. You float in silence, suspended. No, you do not float, you are the silence. It has filled you up. It has emptied you out. You cease to exist. Time passing, though you do not feel it passing. Then something flickers in the silence. And then something moves. That something is you. You open your eyes to a metal ceiling of flickering lights. You feel the floor around you, patting it with shaking hands. You assemble an image of yourself, lying on your back in a corridor. You shake off the silence and sit up. What was that? You glance around, looking for a sign of some change. Damage on the walls, shouts in the distance, fire and fear. Nothing has changed. The silence sits around you like a fog. You try to think, furrowing your brow. How do you think again? It doesn't seem so easy anymore. You force the pathways to light up, the databanks to grant access. You feel like a fraction drive has started up after a long shutdown in a cold vacuum. in the wave. And the wave was noise, just as the sound produced by a wave raking across a pebble beach represents trillions of impacts heard as a single roar. So this sound was the result of trillions of electrons flickering in place, heard as a single impossible scream. A memory image comes to you, one from the moments before the wave hit. You squint as you imagine it, trying to cohere its blurry form. A broken skeletal ring, the eye, and then a vast arc approaching it. A razor-edged white curve, the wave. The wave approaches the eye spins, turning each part to face that vast white edge. You recognize their skeletal data cloud forms. The bright mark at the low end, the greenway, the waste, then the wave hits just as the flotilla, the cordon, turns to face it, and after that, everything is silence. You open your eyes again. That is the epicenter. But of what? Sounds like an EMP or something going off. What the hell is that? Peak! Even before you reach the cordon, the damage is obvious. The blinking red lights, the drones, the tugs, all are gone. Half the cordon's frame has also been shorn away, perhaps through the impact of some failing ship. People push past you in the corridor, both Havenage staff and contractors clearing the cordon. Push forward. You push through the flow of people, and despite a few suspicious looks, they offer no resistance. The further you pass into the cordon, the less people you see. You can see a few sections have been closed off, their bulkhead doors sealed and red warning lights punctuating the corridors, but otherwise most areas seem functional. Suddenly you feel a hand fall on your shoulder. Havenage security? You should have known better than to wander into this place. You brace yourself as you turn. Sleeper! Peak's wide eyes greet you as you turn. The cordon. They glance around, panicked. It's gone down. The Briar and Ish are still in there. Do you think she did this? Or perhaps Havenage messed up? They start pulling you towards the edge of the cordon. We should find her. What if it wasn't her or Havenage? Peak stops. What are you saying? Something hit the station. Peak looks incredulous. It, Sleeper, would all be dead if that was the case. They pause to think. Maybe not an object, but a shockwave? A signal. An EMP would have taken out most of the station, but Peak runs your hand through their hair. I don't know what you're saying, Sleeper. That doesn't sound... They look... they look away down the corridor for a moment. Look, I have to find Ish. I'm sure you felt something, but we can talk about that later. They set off down the corridor. I can't sit around talking any longer. Find me on the flotilla. I'm going to find a way to Ish no matter what. With that, they rush away into the depths of the cordon, leaving you behind. Seems like you'll need to follow if you want to get any answers. Ooh. Did think it was an EMP of some sort. I'm gonna go back and buy a bunch of scrap real quick and use that just to like patch myself up as we go. Hello, I'm here to buy all your scrap. I have nothing but lots and lots of money. Stop giving me bloody ship mines, please. Not even whole fragments, just part fragments. Come on. Okay, they're still not that cool. And I'll buy some food while I'm at it, I guess. Nah, I can wait for the end of the day. Something might give us energy. Scrap for passage. You find a small shuttle scavenging supplies from the cordon. They take you back to the flotilla. They'll take you along too if you have some scrap. Okay. That was unintended, but whatever works, I guess. Oh, cool. Flotilla is just an option now. Okay, Flotilla's friend. So this is our new goal here. 4 successes. Doesn't seem like too much of an issue. Roll. It's fine. Leave. Soul, pragmatic captain, and Peak. Okay, Peak, what's up? As you walk into the bay of the Climbing Briar, the familiarity of the space overcomes any trepidation. Feels good to be back, and the return feels earned, especially after all the work it took to figure out a route through the flotilla's jumble of ships that might lead you to this blue streak. You see Ish and Peak immediately, sitting at the back of the bay, deep in conversation. Their closeness causes you to stop, suddenly aware that you might be interrupting something private. Peak is gesturing wildly as Ish stares out into the middle distance, hunched over. As Peak tries to get her attention, she spots you. Sleeper, Ish nods. Didn't quite turn out like we hoped, right? Peak stops and glances between the two of you, tension rising. Plan was always risky. For me, more than you, Ish shakes her head. Maybe if you spent less time trying to question it, things would... Girl, do not push me. I will push you out into space, I swear to God. Peak looks nervous. It has worked out. They appeal to you. The flux event knocked the entire cordon system offline. The flotilla is free and Havenage is backing off. Flux event? That's what the refugees are calling it, Peak explains. Apparently that's what they called it when it started happening around Ember. What exactly is happening? Hard to tell, it's some kind of disruptive wave that only affects electrical systems, Peak chips in. Typically systems are screened against radiation and interference out here anyway, but this seems to be dulled, not stopped by those defenses. Did a star go supernova and knock everything out? The crisis continues. The cordon may be down, but this brings a whole other set of problems. You should tell them, Ish. Peak glances at her. Please. Ish doesn't respond. Tell you what. You stare at her back, waiting for a response. Please, Ish. Haven't they shown they can be trusted? Peak nods towards you. Ish turns, her arms folded tightly across her chest. She goes to start and then stops. You can see the anger in her eyes, but you realize it's not directed at you or anyone else. She is angry with herself. I brought weapons to the flotilla, she pauses, and now they are gone. You suddenly remember the sleek crates that were tucked into the bay, marked with a yellow sigil. The ones Ish told you were just supplies. What do you mean gone? What do you think? Ish snaps. Someone lifted them from the ship's bay while I was unloading the supplies, she sniffs. At least they are in the hands of the flotilla now. Peak looks at you. She knows this was a bad move, Sleeper. I promise you. He glances back at her. She is just too proud to admit it. Where did you get them from? So now what? Peak looks at Ish. She finds them and she gets them back. Stay silent. Meanwhile, Peak adds, you and I have work to do. Want to understand the flux, Sleeper, to study it. Peak's eyes light up. This thing is changing the entire system, causing problems across the inner system, driving refugees off Ember's moons, and now it's here. If we don't do something about it, Peak pauses. It's a problem for all of us. I can see more immediate problems, Ishness. Peak ignores her. We've been looking at the networks, and when the flux event hit it, it changed things. Shuffled systems, corrupted nodes, and broke open data stores. They take out a slate and show you a flickering polygon. Some of these flux nodes have appeared near the epicenter of the event, but I can't get access. You, however, I saw the way you worked with data when we were preparing for the run. I think you can get into these things. I want you to find a flux node and bring me anything you can extract. They come and go, but most can be found in the barely functioning networks of the waste. Peak pauses. Start there. Perhaps together we can find something that might point us to what the flux is and where it comes from. Okay, they smile. I knew you would agree. Ish looks indignant. Don't waste too much time chasing ghosts, Sleeper. There are people on this flotilla that need any help they can get. I'm sure Sleeper can do both, Ish. Peak smiles at you. I'll see you when you have something. Good hunting. And they wave you out as Ish stomps away to make plans of her own. A new drive, huh? A6 or A5. And that's all they want. Alright. Let's look at the captain then. Someone told me I should be thanking you. The voice comes from behind you, cutting through the chaos of the crowded, cavernous bay. You freeze. Don't be afraid now. I've been hunting you. Sure, but for all the best reasons. You turn to see bright eyes set in a rough face, framed in rusted metal. Soul, he holds out his hand, the other clamped feelingly around a knotted wooden cane. Shake his hand. He grips you firmly with a heavy and calloused hand. Forgive me, as soon as I saw you, I knew who you were. Soul put his hand to your shoulder. I've been told a Sleeper was part of that supply run that came in several cycles ago. He nods. A very welcome act, and we all thank you for it. Walk with me, Sleeper. Soul sets off through the bay, his partial suit hissing and creaking as it helps carry him through the busy crowds. You notice people making way for you and Soul, standing back and letting you pass. You pass a makeshift kitchen, steaming pots on heating elements, a restless queue collecting meals. That algae came through isn't exactly a full meal, but with what we have here, we've been able to make it work. You see a ladle of greenish stew dished out. The colour is something, isn't it? Soul smiles. Soul leads you out to the larger bay, into a corridor lined with storage rooms that are now serving as dorms. You see someone filling a metal container from a standpipe, the water gushing out readily. Soul nods to the person as he passes. Just a little further now, Soul leads you into a freight elevator, and whistles to some unseen operator to start it up. It jerks to life, and as you pass through the layers of the ship, you see people on every level. Supplies crammed into every available space, and sparks leaping in bursts as the ship is reshaped and modified to sustain its population. If Havenage were expecting an exodus from the flotilla, the flux event has put a stop to that. Soul stretches. Some have crossed to the eye, but many just gather salvage or score a hot meal. But the pressure on our supplies is shrinking, but not like I had hoped. With the flux reaching all the way out here, people were starting to understand that our journey might not be over. Soul stares grimly ahead. Suddenly, the freight elevator screeches to a halt, and Soul leads you slowly out into a wide room of chairs and terminals, ringed by a mezzanine and a glass roof above, showing the distant hub and the far curve of the eye beyond. The people at the terminals nod to him as he enters. This is your ship? Soul nods. That's right. The pilgrim seat is mine to care for. He leads you up to a railed platform at the center of the room and stops. She chose me, so to speak. Well, at least her crew did, and I do my best to serve them. Sol looks around the bridge of the ship, a pained expression on his face. I'll admit that the responsibility isn't one that suits me, though we really get to choose such things. He glances back at you. But you, Sleeper, from what I understand, you choose to try and help us here. Is that right? I did my best. Sol nods silently. But I have to ask you, Sleeper, why are you here now? Sol leans back as you feel his eyes on you, assessing you. The flux event. I appreciate the honesty. I had figured as much. Sol flexes the shoulder that is free of the suit. Looking at you now, I can see that an event like that, well, it would have had a big impact. He smiles a harsh smile. I have tens of thousands of people here on Pilgrim Seed, Sleeper, and there's tens of thousands more out on the flotilla. He leans against a railing. A lot of them are looking to me to provide some future for them, some path out of this dead end we've got into. In this cycle, this very cycle, the thing we've been running away from, it just caught up with us. So these people are scared, Sleeper, and they're looking to me for reassurance. And then, on the same cycle, someone tells me they see you on board. The Sleeper, the same Sleeper, they reckon, that wanted to so strongly to send a ship past the cordon to see us. Sol scratches at his beard. So the first thing I wanted to do was thank you for that, for your interest. He pauses. But the second thing I want to do was find out what you want from us. Sol's suit hisses and creaks. I think that's fair, don't you? Sol takes a deep breath. So what is it? What's happening around Ember? Someone at the terminal calls out to Sol and he shouts some orders back. He turns to you. Apologies. He smiles that harsh smile. Tell you what, Sleeper. Let's you and me make a deal. You want information? I understand that, but I have a list of needs longer than the Rim of the Eye itself, he grimaces. So, you do some things for me, and we will talk about what's been happening in this system. And I will get answers, and I will answer all your questions and then some. I may be captain of the Pilgrim Seed, and she certainly is the biggest ship in this flotilla, but I'm not the only captain here. We have ships here from each of the moons. Ember's Hearth, just like us, but plenty more from Ember's Song and even Ember's Step. The moons haven't been at each other's throats. The moons have been at each other's throats, Sleeper. What with the pressure of the flux, the bad blood from the old days, Sol leans in. We aren't exactly all in alignment. What I need is a way to stop things escalating. For crews to be on these ships and their captains to feel happy and comfortable enough to forget old rivalries and past crimes. He flinches at something. Those from Ember's Step, well, they've always been proud, but that pride seems to be the barrier to compromise right now. The last set of supplies I sent their way, they refused. Meanwhile, I have a supply shuttle at the docking access of the Ember's Song ships Gabarat, but they have taken far too many cycles to unload. Maybe if you are heading that way you can look in on them. I'm no politician, Sleeper, but if I don't... Sol stops. He leans back and flexes, his suit screeching. He groans a little and you see the weight of the flotilla sitting on his shoulders. The suit, the only thing keeping him vertical beneath all that pressure. Look, you'll see for yourself if you go. Meet the others, Sleeper. See what they need. Keep them aligned. He speaks through the pain, his voice clipped. Are you okay? Not really, but as long as this thing holds, he grimaces. I hope. Sol grits his teeth. You are what you appear to be, Sleeper. He smiles, his half smile, despite the pain. Because I'm not sure I can take any more bad news. Plus, there's plenty to be done here on the Pilgrim Seed too, if you ever have a moment to pitch in. There's never enough around here. That's something I have learnt the hard way. Sol settles into his cane, pain visibly receding. Alright, I have 1,000 things to attend to now, Sleeper, so you'll have to find your own way out. And with that, Sol sits at his terminal with slow and careful movements. You head back down in the freight elevator, and as you do so, you see again the layers and layers of chaotic life this vessel and all the vessels of the flotilla hold. Oh jeez, that's a lot of stuff here. Unwelcome aid. Okay, so that's for... let's load and unload. Right, Aki. It's a strange sight given your time spent in the Greenway to see a greenhouse choked in red dust. It piles up along edges, gathers in curving waves, and is carried by some unseen wind to whirl in front of the glass ceiling. There's a desert in miniature, a captured landscape of iron-rich sediment and unseen life. Beautiful, isn't it? A remark comes from another figure standing at the viewing window, so quietly that you hadn't noticed them. Did they just arrived, or were they here from before you were? Their cloth-swaddled form reveals little. It looks dead. The figure laughs. It is far from dead. You catch a glimpse of pale face among the thick material, dark eyes glittering in the red reflected light. Ooh, cute. That's a really nice design too. I like that. They turn to you as the dust swirls. Aki. They smile a tight smile. You are not from the flotilla, am I right? Live on the eye. That is not where you're from. She stares into the greenhouse. Everyone is from somewhere, whether they wish to be or not. The red dust glitters in her eyes, whether it is a good place to be from or not. Aki gathers her cloak around her shoulders against the cold. What brings you to the wind's long shadow? Sol sent me. Aki doesn't respond. She looks absent-mindedly at the dust. You're a strange one. Aki raises an eyebrow. I don't know whether to report you or send you back to where you came from. She smiles to herself, which is nowhere at all. You glance around the empty corridor, suddenly aware of how quiet it is on the ship. Unlike the other ships you have been on in the flotilla, there is a silent order to the wind's long shadow, and in this moment it feels unsettling. Where is everyone? Aki waves a hand, asleep, mostly. It is night on the step, and so it is night here. She rubs her shoulders, at least for those of us who can sleep. Step? Aki turns away, irritated, eager to change the subject. You hear a creak as a set of shutters slowly begin to close across the glass ceiling of the greenhouse. As you watch, you feel the dissonance this place has with that word. There is nothing green here. A dust house, perhaps. It takes many systems to preserve this landscape, Aki begins. To simulate the wind, cycle the dust, layer the sand and dirt beneath. You watch the dust swirling, systems that are failing. The flux event, Aki grimaces at you for a sign of recognition at this term, is eroding our ability to keep this place alive, to keep these traces of the steppe alive. She smiles to herself. Which is ironic, because when we left steppe, the flux had eroded our ability to survive on the moon. Now the situation is reversed. Away from the moon, its ecosystems are as fragile as we are, living upon it. Something catches your eye as the shutter darkens the dust house. The winds, picking away at the dunes, begin to reveal something, a web, a network of thick branching forms, and then they close completely, and you see nothing in the dark. Soft blue lights flicker on in the corridor, uplighting Aki in cold cyan. You have piqued my curiosity, but I'm so tired. Aki shivers. If you do not have a purpose here on the ship, I recommend finding one. Otherwise, I'm afraid you'll need to leave. Make yourself useful, and perhaps we can get another chance to talk. She turns. I would like that. With that, Aki pads away along the corridor. You stand for a moment in front of the dark dust house, trying to imagine the network of roots under the sand and dust, and then trying to imagine the moon that once housed them. Alright, dust houses, huh? Okay, what's this? Pilgrim seed supply. Food is an issue on the Pilgrim seed, even with agriculture on board. A supply of matsutake will help fill the gap. Well, I happen to have a bunch of these, so you can have them, actually. I was literally otherwise just going to sell them for cash. Stability in the flotilla means relieving pressure on all the refugees. Okay, so that's the goal there. Continue. That was easy. Sol finds you deep in the layers of the Pilgrim seed, working on a patch for a life support vent. You hear him coming, his suit hissing as he does. I had to ask around to find you, he smiles. Seems you know the place better than me these days. Doubt it. Sol nods. I was on the work crew that built this thing, so maybe you are right, he winks. Sol Hen holds out a hand. Stand up and let me see you. He pulls you to your feet. I don't believe we ever had a sleeper on Ember's Hearth. Sol looks you up and down. You sure do make me wish we had. Could have done with a few workers as good as you. Thank you. Sol nods. You're welcome. Seems like I owe you some answers, seeing as you've been working hard on the Pilgrim seed these past cycles. He leans against the crate, his suit creaking. What do you want to know about? The flux. Soul size, that's what I imagined. He scratches at his beard. Can't say I'm an expert, but I can tell you what we've witnessed on Hearth. At first we ignored it. A few farms had their automation systems blink out. Lifter suits locked up, bots reset their schedules. Nothing we hadn't seen before. But then the news came out of Pasero that they had been hit harder. The local network had gone down and no one could get it back up. It was rough for a while, but out in the farmland we were used to that. Pasero? Capital of Hearth. Tens of thousands of souls made it their home. Sol grimaces. Anyway, we thought the flux was a freak event until the day they got the network running again. That's when the cascade happened. System after system corrupted. Data lost, and then another flux hit, and another. The bots were running circles in the fields. People had to be cut out of lifter suits like mine. In the city, I never saw it, but I heard from the others. Sol shivers. It only got worse from there. We couldn't seem to fight it. It cut us right open. That's what I know about the flux. Some folks say it came from the inner system, that it might be constant connected to some old tech there or something. But I never heard anything more than rumours. Sol scratches their beard. Sorry, I don't have better news. Sol shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? There was something. What do you want to know about? Ember's Hearth. Sure, he smiles. I mean, I spent my whole life on that rock, so I have plenty to tell. I'll save my life story for another time, he winks. But the short of it is that Hearth is the first of Ember's moons, the biggest and the most populated, which is down to the successful terraforming systems Cybele set up back when Solheim owned the systems. Terraforming? That's right, Ember's Step was the first try, but that failed. Earth was when they perfected the system. However, Sol holds up a hand. Despite what people might say, Earth was never fully stable. Sol shakes his head. Cybele liked to talk it up, but after they pulled out and Solheim left, our people discovered they would have to keep the systems running themselves, or the place would soon end up as dry as Steppe. Earth was good as long as the evaporators kept running, kept filling our skies with clouds. Even after the collapse, our people kept those things going, turning that subsurface ocean into a periwinkle blue sky. Sol smiles. Flux ended that though, and when they failed, the rains failed, and the harvest with it, Sol paused. And soon you have a city without a way to feed itself, Sol shudders. That's when we, some of us, made the decision to set out on this place, he gestures at the pilgrim seed, and look for another future. Sol shifts on the crate. Anything else you wanted to ask? You. Sol squints at you. You wanted to know about Mies? Not sure that was part of the deal I was thinking of, Sleeper. This, you're asking about this, he raps on the metal of his suit. In case you haven't guessed, this is the only thing keeping me vertical. He adjusts the shoulder piece. The lifter suit, made for working the fields. We had to modify it so I could walk around after the accident. And that's all I'm saying, Sleeper, because to be honest with you, I don't owe you more than that. You want to know about the Flux, about Embershearth? Go ahead, but don't pry into my life and I won't pry into yours. Sol lets the silence sit, staring hard at the floor. The suit seems to loom over him, looking more like a burden than a support. With the bars around his head, you suddenly think of it as a cage. Look, I don't mean to be rude, let's leave it there. There's too many eyes on me, on this ship as it is, and I'd rather just slip into the background, thank you very much. Sol shifts on a crate. Anything else you want to ask? I'm good. You sure? I'm sure. Sol stands, flexing against the suit. He takes his cane in his hand. Keep it up, Sleeper. He smiles as he leaves. You're making me think I need to start making new plans for this place. With that, Sol leaves and you wonder what he means. As he creaks away down the corridor, you can't help but feel there's more to him than he seems. Cool. Okay, I'm going to... Oh, I need to buy some food. Again. I hate it, it's just like real life, you gotta buy food. Alright. And in cycle. Self-repair. And in cycle. Here we go. Alright, and that I'm going to call it as the end of the stream. Thank you for watching. Not sure about what I'll be doing next week. Probably just more Citizen Sleeper and Northern Journey until it's finished. After Citizen Sleeper, either Norco or Road Warden. And I guess after Northern Journey, either whatever one I didn't pick up for this to replace Citizen Sleeper. Oh well. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.